Are you done with traffic jams, HOA fees, and neighbors who call the cops if you mow your lawn on the wrong day? Let's fix that. In 2025, over 1.3 million Americans are expected to leave big cities behind, mostly retirees and remote workers chasing cheaper housing, cleaner air, and actual peace and quiet. And guess what? You don't need $1 million to do it. The towns on this list offer home prices 40–70% below the national average, crime rates up to 80% lower, and cost of living scores that stretch your retirement dollar like never before. Whether you're looking to retire, buy your first home, or just escape city chaos, these small rural towns prove that a better life doesn't have to come with a giant mortgage or 6-lane freeways. So grab a coffee, close that Zillow tab for a minute, and let's talk about 10 great rural small towns in the USA to retire or buy a home in 2025, where the air is clean, the people are kind, and your money actually means something again. 10. Ely, Nevada. Don't snort. Ely might not be on everyone's radar, but that's part of why it's interesting. Nestled in eastern Nevada along US 50, often dubbed the loneliest road in America, Ely has a population hovering around 4,000 to 4,200 in recent years. Its elevation is over 6,400 feet, so you'll get mountain air, 4 seasons, including snowy winters, and vistas few get to see. It's far from a bustling metro, but it's not in the complete wilderness either. Ely is about 3 to 4 hours from Salt Lake City by car, and a few hours west reaches Reno. For retirees or remote workers, that gives you access to bigger infrastructure without having to live in chaos. Here's where it gets interesting. Housing in Ely tends to be cheaper than in the more popular parts of Nevada, Las Vegas, Reno. You'll find modest homes in town for under $200,000. Outside the perimeter, ranch properties with acreage sometimes fetch $250,000, $400,000, depending on water and road access. Because of the altitude, heating costs do matter, but property taxes are low relative to many states. The cost of living index in White Pine County, where Ely is, runs about 10–15% below national average in many categories: housing, utilities, though groceries, fuel, and healthcare might creep upward due to distance. One thing most people don't know: Ely has a locally owned fiber-to-the-home initiative in parts of town, started by the city and a nonprofit, to bring gig-capable internet where cable, telco coverage was spotty. So for a remote worker, you may well get better connectivity than many small towns your age. Healthcare. Ely has a small hospital, White Pine County General Hospital, with emergency services and a few physicians. But for specialist care, you'll travel: Carson City, Salt Lake, Reno. The drive is doable because roads are generally good and snow is managed, but you'll want to schedule big checkups in advance. The arts and culture scene is surprisingly active. The historic Nevada Northern Railway Museum gives heritage train rides. There's a small film festival, local galleries, and a modest performing arts center. If you like mining or geology, this area is full of stories. Ely was once a copper and silver boomtown. The mining legacy means there's some brownfield cleanups and land that's in flux, but also opportunity. In short, Ely, NV, offers you solitude, rugged beauty, lower cost, and yes, enough bones of civilization to make it practical. Just be ready for winter and plan your medical specialist trips. 9. Ferdinand, Indiana. This one might surprise people because Indiana often gets lumped into flatland Midwest, but Ferdinand sits in the southern portion of the state, near the Ohio River Valley, close enough to Cincinnati or Louisville for occasional big city runs, yet far enough removed to feel rural. Ferdinand is tiny, a few thousand people, but it punches above its weight in quality of life. One of the hidden charms here is the tree capital of the Midwest nickname, lots of forested land in surrounding counties, and easy access to state parks, outdoor trails, rivers, and rolling hills. Unlike some remote rural towns that suffer from brain drain, Ferdinand has seen modest growth as folks look to escape the high cost in bigger metros of Indiana or Kentucky. You'll find homes in Ferdinand proper often in the $200,000–300,000 range for a pleasant 3 to 4 bedroom house with yard. But get a few miles out, and you can pick up a farmstead with acreage for $300,000 to $500,000 depending on condition. Because southern Indiana has better infrastructure than many remote places, utilities and roads are well maintained. Internet is a mixed bag. Most homes get DSL or fixed wireless. Some parts of the county are being upgraded to fiber via local co-ops. Many people don't realize that Indiana offers favorable property tax caps for senior homeowners, varies by county, which can help stabilize your tax exposure if you move there after 65. Healthcare. Ferdinand is close enough to regional hospitals in Jasper or Evansville within 30-60 minutes. That means you're not totally stranded for serious care. Also, there's a missionary hospital and clinics locally for routine checkups. The proximity to a few interstate corridors means access is not awful. A less obvious point, Ferdinand has a strong local culture of craft production, woodworking shops, local artisans, plus a very active community calendar. Festivals, fairs, local music, farm markets, and seasonal events. For retirees who like doing things rather than just sitting, you'll find more opportunities here than in ultra-quiet towns. Crime is low and community cohesion is solid. Neighbors tend to know each other, volunteerism is high, and local government is responsive. For someone wanting rural life but not total isolation, Ferdinand is a sleeper pick in 2025. 8. Alamosa, Colorado. Picture a small town in the high desert with mountain views, crisp air, brilliant skies, and wide open space. That's Alamosa. With a population near 9,000, 10,000, it's not truly tiny, but it retains that rural feel. It's located in the San Luis Valley, southern Colorado, at about 7,500 feet elevation. The benefit, you're sandwiched between the rugged Sangre de Cristo Mountains and the Great Sand Dunes National Park, which is literally just a short drive away. So if you're someone who wants day trips to hiking, sand dunes, stargazing, mountain peaks, this town is in the sweet spot. For retirees, that means adventure is in your backyard. Housing. In Alamosa, you might find a modest 3-bedroom home for $250,000 to $350,000, depending on condition and lot. Out toward the outskirts or in the farmland surrounding, you may pick up 10-20-acre parcels with water rights for $300,000, $600,000. Because much of the land is high desert, water availability is a major factor. Always check irrigation, rights, and well permits. Cost of living in Alamosa County tends to run slightly above the national average in utilities, winter heating, propane, but somewhat below in housing and local services. Many people don't know that the town has invested in municipal fiber to parts of residential areas, especially for new developments. Medical care. Alamosa hosts the San Luis Valley Health Hospital and Medical Center with general practitioners, ER, imaging, etc. For specialty care, you might travel to Colorado Springs or Pueblo, 2 to 3 hours. But for routine needs, you're reasonably covered. One unsung advantage. Because of the altitude and climate, many chronic conditions like respiratory or cardiovascular problems can be managed if you're physically active. But you need to acclimatize. Winters are cold and snowy, but many roads are maintained well, and locals are used to it. Because of its location, Alamosa has a mild base camp town feel. A mix of locals, some tourism, students, Adams State University, and seasonal influx. That means more dining options, some arts, a little nightlife, but nothing overwhelming. The downside, isolation in winter storms. But if you plan ahead, stock up, and pick the right road access property, it can be a dreamy balance. Alamosa gives you nature, community, and enough services to make rural life workable. 7. Cedar Edge, Colorado. Now we go deeper into Colorado's mountain magic. Cedar Edge is a tiny town, population under 3,000, perched on the Grand Mesa, one of the largest flat-topped mountain areas in the world. You get altitude, forest, orchards, panoramic views, and a niche community that's tightly knit. Because it's more remote than Alamosa, you trade off some of the conveniences. But the rewards are there. For someone wanting to get away from it all, but not to have zero society, Cedar Edge is a serious contender in 2025. It's roughly 40-60 minutes from larger towns like Delta or Montrose, which hold more supplies and medical services, while the intrastate roads are maintained for seasonal access. Home prices. In town, small ranch-style homes or cabins might run $200,000, $300,000. Outward, properties with multiple acres, orchards, or forest frontage can command $400,000, $600,000 plus, depending on road access, views, water rights, and condition. One thing many people don't note: Cedar Edge and the nearby communities are known for fruit orchards, peaches, plums, apples. So agricultural hobbyists can sometimes find properties with usable land, irrigation ditches, and infrastructure that many rural towns lack. Water rights are big in Colorado, so any property you consider has to come with well-ditched documentation. Cost of living is a mixed bag. Heating, especially in winter, is a bit higher. But many costs, labor, some supplies, are lower than in Front Range Colorado. Internet, fiber, and fixed wireless providers are creeping in, but it's patchy. In many areas, you'd still depend on satellite or microwave links, something to check before you sign the deed. Medical. In Cedar Edge, you'll find clinics and primary care within 10-20 minutes. For emergency or specialty care, travel to Grand Junction, 1-2 hours. That's manageable if you're not having daily medical needs. One nuance: high altitude means thinner air. Folks new to altitude should allow time to adapt, but many retirees thrive there. Community-wise, this is a place where events matter: local festivals, orchard tours, a local theater, community garden projects, hiking clubs, volunteer groups, all are part of daily life. So if you like involvement and connection, not anonymity, you'll fit in. The trade-off is winter isolation risk, snow, closures, and sometimes limited commercial offerings. But if you embrace it, Cedar Edge gives you the kind of serene, mountainous, rural life many dream of. 6. Lewistown, Montana. Lewistown, population to 6,000, sits pretty much in central Montana in a valley surrounded by peaks and rivers. It's not by an interstate, but US 87 and 191 pass through, so you're not totally off-grid. The landscape is dramatic: mountains, prairies, wildlife, big skies. For retirees or remote workers, Lewistown offers solitude plus practicality. A lot of lists skip it, but it deserves attention. Housing. In town, you might find a decent 3-bedroom house for $200,000, $300,000, sometimes less depending on condition. Move a few miles out and you can pick up ranches with 10-100 acres for $300,000, $700,000, often with excellent water rights and breathtaking views. One lesser-known advantage: agricultural land here is relatively stable in value because ranching is still active. So your property might maintain value better than in some sleepy parts where land depreciates. Cost of living in Fergus County, Lewistown's county, tends to run below the national average on many metrics. Local groceries and fuel might be slightly above average due to transport, but utilities, property, and services are favorable. Internet. Lewistown has a mix: fiber in the town core, fixed wireless to nearby rural areas, and some satellite coverage farther out. The town government has been working with local providers to expand fiber reach as of 2024-2025, so more rural roads are getting improved connectivity. For remote work, many people report being able to manage because peaks error times are manageable. Healthcare. Lewistown Regional Medical Center handles emergencies, general medicine, imaging, etc. For major specialty care or surgeries, you'd plan trips to Great Falls, Helena, or even Billings, 2 to 3 hours. But for most retirement-level needs, Lewistown covers a lot. It also has a very engaged community: arts center, historical museum, local festivals, rodeo, fairs, and wildlife, hunting, recreation access. Bear, deer, elk, trout streams. If you're into nature, you'll not lack options. One nuance folks often miss: winters are long and cold. Insulation, snow removal, and winter gear are not optional. But the town is used to it, and snow removal is solid in primary routes. So Lewistown sits in that golden mean: rural but not isolated, scenic but with services, quiet but not silent. If you're serious about retiring or buying a home in 2025 and want meaningful isolation with a safety net, Lewistown deserves your upper-tier consideration. 5. Paris, Tennessee. If you've never heard of Paris, Tennessee, you're in for a pleasant surprise. Sitting in the northwest corner of the state, Paris has around 10,000 residents and manages to be rural without being remote. It's the kind of place where you can still drive 5 minutes from town and be surrounded by farmland, forest, or water. The nearby Kentucky Lake and Tennessee River make this one of the best freshwater recreation spots in the region. Boating, fishing, kayaking, all within a few miles of downtown. The vibe here? Americana through and through. There's even a 70-foot replica of the Eiffel Tower in the local park, a nod to the name, and a quirky local photo stop. Here's what really draws people: affordability and livability. The median home price in Henry County as of 2025 sits around $190,000, and you can easily find properties under $150,000 if you're not picky. Compare that to the national median, around $430,000 this year, and you're looking at serious savings. Property taxes are light, utilities are manageable, and Tennessee has no state income tax, making it one of the most retirement-friendly states in the U.S. The crime rate in Paris is roughly 35% lower than the national average, and the community itself is deeply rooted. Annual catfish festivals, local parades, and a town square that still hosts small businesses, not empty storefronts. Healthcare? You're covered. Henry County Medical Center is right in town, offering emergency and general services. For specialty care, Nashville is about 2 hours southeast. Internet is surprisingly strong for a rural zone. Most neighborhoods are covered by Spectrum and a local co-op fiber network called WK&T. You'll get 1 gig service in most of the area. And here's a fun fact most outsiders miss. Paris is one of the few small towns in the South actively promoting retiree relocation, with tax incentives and resource programs through the local chamber. In short, if you want a laid-back life with low costs and real Southern character, Paris, Tennessee is the kind of town you don't just retire to. You stay for good. 4. Heber Springs, Arkansas. Now this one is a stunner, both literally and financially. Heber Springs sits on the shores of Greer's Ferry Lake in north-central Arkansas, surrounded by rolling Ozark foothills and some of the clearest water you'll find anywhere in the South. Population? Around 7,000 permanent residents, but that number doubles in summer when tourists and retirees flood in for fishing and lake living. Don't let the tourist element scare you. This place has one of the strongest small-town cores in the state. Unlike other rural Arkansas towns that have seen economic decline, Heber Springs has actually seen slow, sustainable growth thanks to its recreation economy. The median home price here in 2025 hovers around $230,000, with plenty of listings under $200,000, especially if you're open to older homes or small acreages outside town. But here's the kicker. Homes with direct lake access or scenic views are still under $400,000, something you can't even dream of in states like Colorado or California. Property taxes in Cleburne County are among the lowest in the U.S., averaging just 0.45% of assessed value. The crime rate sits about 60% below the national average. And healthcare access is surprisingly solid thanks to Baptist Health Medical Center Heber Springs, which provides modern emergency and inpatient care. The cost of living here is 21% below the national average. Groceries, gas, and housing all cheaper than what you'd find in neighboring Missouri or Tennessee. Internet infrastructure has improved massively in the last 3 years thanks to the Ozarks Go fiber expansion project, offering 1 gig coverage to most homes around the lake and downtown. Retirees here often get involved in local events, the World Championship cardboard boat races, yes, that's a real thing, the Greer's Ferry Lake cleanup, and the Heber Springs Springfest. You'll find a community that's friendly, outdoorsy, and a little eccentric. You're not just buying a house here, you're buying into a lakeside lifestyle where neighbors wave, strangers talk, and life slows down to the rhythm of the Ozarks. 3. St. Maries, Idaho. Tucked deep in Idaho's northern panhandle, St. Marie's is what most people imagine when they think rural America. River valleys, pine forests, misty mornings, and a downtown that looks straight out of 1958. Population? Just under 2,400, and it feels like everyone knows everyone. Located about an hour from Coeur d'Alene, this little town offers the perfect balance. Enough isolation to escape the noise, but close enough to bigger services when you need them. It sits along the St. Joe River, famous for its clear waters and fly fishing, and surrounded by national forest land, which means endless trails, hunting, and camping. Housing here is surprisingly reasonable given Idaho's recent growth. The median home price as of mid-2025 is around $280,000, though fixer-uppers under $200,000 are common. If you want acreage, 5 to 10 acres with a small cabin or manufactured home can be had for $250,000, $350,000, practically unheard of for Pacific Northwest proximity. Property taxes are light, and there's no state-level Social Security tax for retirees. The crime rate is almost comically low, over 75% below the national average, and even petty theft is rare. Locals actually leave their trucks running outside the grocery store in winter, and nobody touches them. That's not a myth, that's daily life here. Internet used to be St. Marie's biggest weakness, but recent federal rural broadband grants have changed that. Frontier and Ziply Fiber have expanded coverage to most of the town, with satellite options filling the gaps. For healthcare, there's Benua Community Hospital, with major facilities available an hour north in Coeur d'Alene. One quirky thing most people don't know: St. Marie's has one of the highest per capita veteran populations in Idaho. That translates to a civic-minded, respectful community with active VFW halls, American Legion events, and an unmatched sense of loyalty. You're surrounded by timber, trout, and tranquility. And for many retirees, that's exactly what the doctor ordered. 2. Lanesboro, Minnesota. You want picture-perfect Midwest charm? You found it. Lanesboro, population just over 700, is the kind of town that should be on a postcard. Nestled in the Root River Valley in southeastern Minnesota, this place is part artist colony, part farming community, and part retirement paradise. The town is surrounded by bluffs, rivers, and trails, perfect for anyone who loves fishing, biking, or just wandering through nature. What's more impressive is that Lanesboro has been dubbed the bed and breakfast capital of Minnesota, and yet it's far from tourist chaos. You get visitors on weekends, sure, but weekdays feel calm, grounded, and community-oriented. Home prices? The median sits around $240,000, with older farmhouses and cottages easily available under $200,000. Property taxes are moderate, and the town's commitment to sustainability is no joke. Local ordinances encourage solar retrofits and geothermal heating. Internet coverage is strong for such a small population, thanks to a rural cooperative fiber program that blanketed the region in gig-speed service in 2024. Cost of living is roughly 18% below the national average. Crime is so low it's barely measurable. The last serious crime reported was years ago, something involving stolen corn feed. Not even kidding. Medical access. You're 40 minutes from Mayo Clinic Health System in Rochester, one of the best hospitals in the world, making it an incredible spot for retirees who need ongoing care. Add in nearby farmers markets, farm-to-table dining, art galleries, and a local theater scene that puts on more plays per capita than most mid-sized cities, and you've got a small town that feels rich in culture, not isolated. Here's the secret most people miss. Lanesboro has one of the highest community volunteer rates in the Midwest, and it shows. People genuinely look out for each other. If you're looking for peace, health, and humanity in one place, this is the hidden treasure you won't believe still exists in 2025. 1. Livingston, Montana. And here it is, the crown jewel for 2025 rural living. Livingston, Montana, population about 8,700, sits in the heart of the Yellowstone River Valley, surrounded by jagged mountains, blue skies, and air so clean you can taste it. It's about 25 minutes east of Bozeman, giving you proximity to a major airport, university, and hospital, but without Bozeman's crazy prices or traffic. Over the last decade, Livingston has quietly become a favorite for retirees, remote professionals, and even a few artists and writers who left city life behind. But it still feels like Montana, rugged, calm, and grounded. Let's talk numbers. The median home price in 2025 sits around $420,000, which might sound high, but compare that to Bozeman's $720,000, and you'll understand why Livingston's market is still hot. For $350,000, $450,000, you can snag a charming three-bedroom craftsman or a small ranch home with a couple of acres. Property taxes are moderate, the crime rate is roughly 50% below the national average, and the quality of life index for retirees ranks among the top 10% of small towns in the country. The city runs on a mix of tourism, Yellowstone proximity, agriculture, and small creative businesses, giving it a steady, not boom and bust economy. Internet here is excellent. Both Spectrum and Montana Opticom provide high-speed fiber, with most areas seeing gigabit connections. Healthcare is anchored by Livingston Healthcare, affiliated with the Mayo Clinic network, meaning top-tier care just down the road. Outdoor life here is beyond compare. Trout fishing on the Yellowstone River, world-class hiking, wildlife photography, and snow sports within minutes. Winters are cold, sure, but homes are built for it, and the town handles snow like it's a minor inconvenience. And here's the kicker. Despite its growing reputation, Livingston still feels authentic. You'll still see cattle drives, rodeos, and locals grabbing pie at the same diner every morning. Most folks have no idea that Livingston once almost died economically in the 1990s after the rail yards closed, and yet it reinvented itself, embracing small business, tourism, and community innovation. It's proof that small towns can evolve without losing their soul. If you want the ultimate mix of wilderness and wellness, community and independence, Livingston, Montana is where your next chapter should begin. And there you have it. 10 of the best rural small towns in America to retire or buy a home in 2025. These aren't fantasy postcard places. They're real communities where people still wave when you drive by, where you can actually hear crickets at night, and where a mortgage doesn't feel like a lifelong sentence. The truth is, as housing prices in major metros explode, up nearly 47% nationwide since 2020, small-town America has become the last stronghold for affordable living and peace of mind. Whether you're ready to downsize, work remotely, or just wake up to mountain views instead of traffic noise, these towns are proof that the good life is still out there. You just have to drive a little further to find it. So if one of these places caught your eye, do some digging, check the local listings, talk to a realtor, and maybe plan a visit. Because sometimes the dream home you've been looking for isn't in a suburb. It's down a quiet country road where time moves a little slower. If you enjoyed this list, hit that like button, drop a comment with the town you'd move to tomorrow, and subscribe so you don't miss the next round, because there are plenty more hidden gems where these came from. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and maybe start packing.